How are you, JQ?
Hey, buddy.
Good. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm TQ. This is my brother, JQ. We're talking to you live from Merz Apothecary and smallflower.com here in Chicago. On the north side in Lincoln Square. We're using this time every week, twice a week, during the holidays, almost every week. We use this time to hang out, have a cup of tea, talk life, talk with our customers, talk with interesting people, talk about products, health, wellness, whatever, just geek out. So that's what we're doing again today. But it happens to be the day before. It's New Year's Eve. It's the 30th of December, 2020. And so we thought we'd get together and talk about what I'd say was a bit of an odd year.
Just a little.
Yeah, a little bit different than most years. So I can't quite put my finger on it, but there was something odd about this year, and we're going to discuss it today. No, but actually, we're going to talk about good things, things we enjoyed this year, in spite of, or maybe even because of the oddness of 2020. So it's kind of like an informal best of list, and we'd love it if you would share some things along the way as well in the comments or wherever. All right. So let's talk about what we're drinking today. Let's start out with there. So like Jay, we kind of picked the best of tea for the year. And I want to hear what you're drinking. I think I know, but
I'm drinking lemon balm. Lemon balm tea. Lemon balm has been my savior this year. It is a natural antiviral. It is mellow. It mellows you. It helps you concentrate and mellow at the same time, which is a beautiful combination.
yeah,
And it is delicious.
yeah. I've enjoyed a healthy amount of lemon balm this year. I think it's for those who've never tried it, drink some lemon balm just in a tea form. Just steep it and do that at least. You can also try having it in capsules or liquid, which I keep a bottle of liquid in my sort of little vitamin area. And some days when I'm feeling a
Just
little
drop a
extra
little in. Yeah.
extra stressed, I don't take it every day, but I find it's more effective for me if I do it as an occasional thing. And so when I'm feeling a little down and out, or just like, whoa, the noise is getting to be a lot, and I need to like you said, calm down and focus at the same time, I just do a little squirt of lemon balm in the morning and kind of hit the ground running smoothly, you know?
Jogging. Hit the ground jogging.
Yeah,
You know that old saying.
gliding is what I like to say.
Yeah, it does feel glidey.
Yeah, it's a little gliding, which is nice. I like gliding. Yeah. So I am drinking, guess what I'm drinking?
Jasmine green.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's not only the tea of 2020,
It's the tea of
it's
your last 20 years.
yeah, I would say it's the tea of the 2000s. It has decade one and two of the 2000s, swept for me. Going for a hat trick. We'll see how the 20s go, the roaring 20s. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a jasmine green head, and for me, um, I don't think there's. I think just tea in general, caffeinated green tea is my go-to for something that just kind of like makes my day feel normal and kind of puts like it's like the exclamation point in my day without being hyper, if that
Mm.
makes sense. It's
Yeah, it's
like just
great.
extra good thing. And it happens that our jasmine green is my favorite green tea of all time. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Seemed appropriate. I don't normally drink it before lunch. It's my after lunch. I try to drink only 1 cup a day because I can drink like two or three if I let myself. But I try to drink one big cup usually around 2 o'clock.
And
Today
green
I'm
tea is
starting
not
early.
like, for me at least, green tea, you're a little more sensitive, but green tea is not going to like get me like freaked out. But too many cups will make me extremely dry.
Yeah, yeah. there's the tannic effect is still there if you drink too much. And that's the same for me, actually. I find that I don't have a problem with caffeine being too much. It's actually, as I've watched it over the past year, it's a problem that like a day later, if I drink too much tea, I often get a headache. And I relate it to somehow like tannins, dryness, or tightness that comes from that. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Today I'm throwing caution to the wind and drinking a cup and a half of green tea.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, end of the year, baby. So anyway, Jen, I had this idea. It's a very original idea to wrap up the year with best of lists. But
original.
yeah, no, but I just thought we talk about a lot of things we like, on the show, but I thought it's kind of useful it was more for my own reasons that I was like, I'd like to think about what are the best things I did in this kind of crazy, weird year. And it might be helpful to like start to look at my lists of things that I've read or watched or whatever. And then I was like, why don't we just talk about this and other people can chime in too. And we can kind of talk about some good things, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
I'm pulling up my list as you were speaking. So.
Yeah. So my idea was we can any of those categories: watched, listened to, read, ate, drank, did, bought, and then I thought we got to throw in some of our own products. So like the products that got me through this year.
Sure.
There's many, but just the top couple. So anyway, you want to start it out? Pick a category.
Yeah, we got a few people, just John, Dan, Margaret, all saying Happy New Year. I just want to say
Happy New Year. And happy end of 2020. Keep it safe, keep it healthy, take care of yourself. And yeah.
And let's give Margaret a shout for Common Pantry, right?
Yeah, Common Pantry. I don't know about you guys, but I try to, at the end of the year, part of my own gratitude and sort of just like financial wrap up of the year is to say, hey, before the year's over, if I'm going to give to some place, I might as well give to places that I want to give to before the year's over. So you can get some of the tax benefits of giving in this year. And Common Pantry is one that I would highly recommend. We've given things from MERS to Common Pantry. I've donated to Common Pantry ourselves, and we bought a big prize at the Common Pantry event this year. So if you care about hunger, which you must, that would be a great place to support. So thanks for joining us, Margaret. Yeah, what else? So Jay, start us out.
Let's see. Start my list. Where do you want to begin?
I'm saying you pick a category. Where should we start?
Okay. Let's go with books first.
All right.
They don't have to be from this year either. I mean,
No, I'm not saying like I'm not a critic. This isn't the best of 2020 creations. This is like my own personal things that meant the most to me in 2020.
Cool. Yeah, hit it up. Go for it. What do you got?
This one is the first one. I've got to say, it had a big effect on me, and I've talked about it a few times. This Naked Mind is a book that I read. I might have even read it at the end of 2019, but it like had such an effect throughout 2020. And it's a book. I'm sure we can link it up. It's a book about not drinking and one person's
Annie Grace.
Yeah. She wrote a book, and I gotta say, she's sort of like me, like kind of a super ambitious person. She talks about like she didn't stop drinking because she wasn't accomplishing things, but more like she wasn't necessarily enjoying life in the way that she should. And there were maybe parts of it that were like seeming like they were slipping through the fingers of her memory. Like there was stuff that wasn't as clear to her, and that was kind of disturbing and or sad. And so I highly recommend you read it if you're at all thinking about it. And it's just a good read. It's fast, it's easy. But basically the bottom line is it was the catalyst for what I've been thinking about anyway, which was taking an extended break from drinking any alcohol, which I did for all of 2020. It was actually yesterday was the 1 year anniversary of the last time that I had a drink. So it seemed kind of appropriate to mention that book here. And what I will say is, again, I'm not saying it to preach. I don't care. Most of my friends drink, my family drinks, my wife drinks, my parents drink for fun, and they have a great time. And we all hang out together. And I can see that it's an enjoyable release for them. For me, it was maybe too enjoyable, and the release was not what I needed and not helping me. So I will say that that is a book that I'd recommend.
Cool.
An experiment that I would try. So throw one out there.
I'm going to just jump out and away from books for a second, because one of the things that I've consumed this year, because I took a break from drinking too this year. I've had maybe 4 or 5 drinks total. I could count on one hand probably how many I've had this year since January 17th. So I'm almost going on a year too. Um, and uh, and I just want to shout out Partake Brewing, which is like, if you really just still enjoy a beer, and I didn't even enjoy beer till I found Partake. I didn't even like beer before. I was a hard alcohol guy only. Um, they have these like super low calorie, non-alcoholic beers that actually like pair well with food and give you carbonation and hops without a bunch of carbs and without a bunch of calories and with no alcohol. And so they're just delicious. The pale ale and the IPA are amazing.
Yeah.
And I just
What was that special one they did?
yeah, and they're releasing that soon too, the Goza. Yeah.
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 That one this summer was incredible.
And they're releasing a Rattler too, which is cool, like a low cal
Rattler.
Rattler. So anyway, I'm like into that. It's like another beverage in my house. I don't even think of it as a beer anymore. I think of it more like a LaCroix, but I pair it with meals or when I want to decompress at the end of a day, because it still psychosomatically gives me the like feeling of release, and hops does give you a little release. So it's nice.
Yeah. Cool. Good idea. All right, but give me a book.
Okay. Number one awesome book I read this year, probably A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles.
Oh, you did read it?
Yeah.
It's been on my list for so long, and I want to
It
read it.
is just a phenomenal book. I would put it up there in top 10 of all time, maybe. It's so good.
Ooh.
It's such a good book, and it sprawls many decades, and it's just an epic, tiny story that is epic proportions. It's really great. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. I recommend it. And I read Goldfinch this year, so like,
Wow.
as a big boy, like, and that's probably in my top 5, so I had 2 awesome books this year. That's my first fiction, I would say.
Cool. Yeah, mine don't, I have to say, my other ones, this was a hard year for me to get into fiction. I was focused a lot on doing things, and I found that like it wasn't easy for me to like get into that mindset where I could let everything go. So I picked out 2, Ibram X. Kendi's How to Be an Antiracist. I thought it very clearly summed up things that I had been trying to like formulate in my head that are very challenging to like get my head around, and just sort of
like give you vocabulary for things you felt already, right?
Yeah. And also some things that I had to think about that I wasn't thinking about, that I was just like, oh yeah, I need to start thinking in a different way. So there are a bunch of books that I've read on this topic, but that one stands out as like, okay, I have a new way of sort of self-conceptualizing the person that I want to be. Certainly don't always live up to being, but that I want to be. So that was another good one. Both of those, my first 2, are kind of like things that were working on myself, I would say. And that's kind of how this year was largely for me.
Cool.
But I'll throw in another one, which is like a true story, business sort of the story of a man, but
This is the Phil Knight one.
no, the fish that ate the whale.
Oh,
And
right,
it's the
right. You
story
mentioned.
of United Fruit and like how this uh, Jewish Eastern European immigrant in the latter part of the 19th century came here with nothing and became one of the richest men in the United States and in the world, overthrew some South American governments in not a good way, but like you hear the story about how he uses influence to like basically overthrow literal governments in the world to help his fruit business, essentially. And it's like, it's sort of one of those things like you wouldn't believe it that it's true if it weren't actually a historical account because it seems too fantastic.
They're
Uh,
definitely making a movie, right?
if they're not, they should, because it's like one of these like I can't believe this is real. It also happens that he was out of New Orleans. It's just a fantastic rip roaring story of like capitalism and sort of all the good and bad things about it, the exciting things and the sort of bad things about it. But it's exciting and fun, and I would say a great read.
Cool, cool. I would throw for like people that want like a burner, that's like super fun to read and it's not going to take you like a ton of time and it just is a great story and a total escape, but not unrelated to the current world, is Recursion by Blake Crouch. It's an awesome book. Went on a time travel kick this year, and I
Yeah.
read like 7 to 12 books about time travel, and and this one is like such a dope concept about time travel and this love story that happens, the most impossible and such the coolest concept wedded with a love story that makes the love story so amazing because these people have to live their love story many lifetimes over and over again, and they don't get the full understanding of what they've been through and their multiple lives together till the end of their life with that person again on the last time. Then the last lives come flooding back to them, and it's
Oh,
such an emotional amazing story about like evading the apocalypse that I think everyone should read that one. It's so fun and it's fun and emotional and a great escape. I love it.
cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool. That's great. I'm
Um,
I didn't read that one with you, but I would like to.
and then I have a couple of. I also would throw in A Burning by Megha Majumdar, that the Indian book, that made a lot of lists this year, and it's like from the perspective of 3 different characters in India, and one of them is actually a. I don't even know. I forgot the word, but one of these trans intersex. Uh,
Hijra?
what, a
Is that
hydra?
a Hijra?
Yeah, Hydra. Intersex population is one of the 3 main characters, and it's really just cool because you and I have seen that since we were little kids going to Pakistan, and I've always kind of wondered what that gender is about. And this is a very eye-opening account, a first-person account. 1/3 of it is a eye-opening first-person account from a Hydra's perspective, which is awesome.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool,
Uh,
nice.
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't. That's awesome. My last one, just because getting me into fiction again, I recently felt like I needed to escape, and it's not a new book, but I'm in the middle of and tearing through it. Is Smilla's Sense of Snow, which William, our friend, gave me a couple of years ago, and was like, "You'll love this book," and I basically didn't read much fiction in the meantime, and now I'm into it, and it seems appropriate right now with snow being on the ground for the first time in Chicago, really that it's sticking or anything like that. Yeah. Anyway, and
Cool.
it's about Greenlanders living in Denmark and a murder, and so it's still like a burner. It's
Nice.
like but I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
I got 2 more little here. I'll just say they're nonfiction, which isn't like my number one go-to, but one of them you told me to read, and I'm a huge tennis fan, is Open by Andre Agassi. And it's just, you can't believe this is like actually a human's life. And his path and Steffi's path, like
Yeah.
his wife.
One
And
of the best one of the best autobiographies I've ever read, bar none.
yeah, and the character, one of my favorite characters in any story is Brad Gilbert, the now tennis announcer who is an ex-player and was Agassi's coach, is one of my favorite characters in any story I've ever read. I'm just like such a huge fan.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I don't, and let me say, I don't care about tennis at all. I read it because other people were saying, I don't care about tennis, but this is a great book. And I feel that way. Like, I care about that book. I care about those tennis matches, but I don't really care about tennis, you know?
yeah,
So
yeah,
you don't
no,
have to like, my point is, you don't have to like tennis to love this book.
yeah, yeah, it's a great book. And then the last one is Heather Lanier's Raising a Rare Girl, which I've talked about before on the show, but having my daughter Amina,
She's a rare
has,
girl.
yeah, she's a rare girl, and this first person, this memoir about this woman's first 5 years of her daughter's life is just awesome, and everyone should sort of, in the same way that How to Be an Anti-Racist really checks your own innate ingrained racism, this book really checks your own innate ingrained ableism. Um, Everyday things that you don't realize are completely ableist, which is awesome to to
Yeah,
to grow in that way. So
cool. Good
yeah.
recommendations. All right, let's move on because, and we'll maybe some of these will move through a little faster. I know you and I are
John
both.
says he's been enjoying getting to know us through these fun and educational tea times and hanging with his pet micropachycephalosaurus named Boris. I would probably name mine Morris or Boris, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a reference to the Q Brothers album Buggin, which came out this year too. So maybe let's move on to listening things. Um, I recommend if you miss the hip hop, that's super fun. Go check that album out. Yes, I made it, but also it's good.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
else did you listen to this year that you loved?
I'm a giant Thelonious Monk fan. He's like one of my favorite composers and musicians of all time. And they unearthed a rare live album that people didn't know existed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Monk Palo Alto. It was in his later years. He was kind of performing gigs and he performed it at a high school because that's how he had like, it was like he wasn't the hot guy anymore. And it was recorded by a janitor who was like, yeah, I'll work this extra gig, but I get to record this. And he recorded it, and it's a beautiful live recording of Monk in his later years that is stunning.
At Palo Alto High School, which I think Jordan went to.
Yeah, it's so good. It's
Here,
so
I'll
good.
play a segment. Ready?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I can't
And
wait.
just like wait when the whole band comes in, it is fantastic.
Yeah, I don't want to play too much because I don't want them to kick
Yeah.
us off our feet. Okay, that's just made it number one on my queue right now. So I had no idea that was actually a thing.
Yeah. What about you? I have some more, but I want to hear.
Anything by Romare, Romare. Just like put on that music for super long, incredible journeys of sound that will rip your face off, and probably have you dancing at times, and just like drifting
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and meditating at times. It's just, I mean, literally anything that guy touches. I don't even know if it's a guy, girl, them. I don't know, but
Yeah.
but Romero is just has been just like probably number one listened to thing this year. You know.
Cool, cool. Keeping it moving for me. So I have been, and I'm going to get to this. I have two categories of listening: music and then podcasts. But I've been kind of looking for not new to me music, I should say, new to me music. And I've been mining the archives of a show, the podcast of a show that I used to listen to sometimes called Afro Pop Worldwide, which is on public radio. And I remembered there was an episode I heard once that I was like, how did I not know this music from the 60s existed? So I
Are you talking
started
about
going,
Nigerian funk?
well, I was actually talking about something from South Asia, African music via South Asia, but that led me down a rabbit hole of Afro pop in general. And like, so I'm gonna just say a few of the things. Gqom, Gqom is a club music from like maybe the past 5-10 years out of South Africa, Durban, I believe. And it's like a young kids, like made by teenagers, and I'm obsessed with the music. So I put on, there's a song Wololo that's by Babes something. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I gave Greta the link to post of Wololo Radio on Spotify, which is just, it's like my go-to bounce, dance, keep it moving, work, clean up, anything.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I've been I'll wrap it up, but Olé by the Funkies. So I went down deep into 70s Afro rock, not deep for me, because I didn't know anything about it, but I put a song, Olé by the Funkies, is Nigerian Afro rock from the 70s, and it is funky.
That whole era of stuff, I mean, it's actually quite thick, and when you can get lost in there for an entire year's worth of music.
Yeah. And then I thought it was interesting that my other sort of favorite find of recent years was Burna Boy, who's a Nigerian current pop star who's blowing up. And I linked his album Twice as Tall, and I would give you and I both felt the special shout outs where the song's Wonderful, and then Naughty by Nature featuring Naughty by Nature,
which is
really cool.
I mean, and by the way, if anyone's wondering, Tretch from Naughty by Nature is as good as you remember him, actually better than you remember him, and still just at the top of his game. He's such a good rapper. He is, Eminem and Andre 3000's favorite rapper, just so you know.
So great.
And you can hear that in both of their styles. It's relentless machine gun rap. It's so good, Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, it's really good. So that's my little dip into, how can you say the music of a continent? Obviously it's endless. You're talking about tons of music, but two little dip toes in the water that I've been sticking lately.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. I think the song by Haim, the song Now I'm In It, really defines this year. I think it's like maybe the song of the year. It is electronic. It's by kind of a rock band, but this is like their most electro pop song. It sounds like Robin could have written this song, and it is just like drowning in the moment. And that's really what this year felt like to me, the sound of this song and the lyric that keeps getting repeated. That's the year to me. I mean, that I would say also the Avalanche's new album came out. And if you're just like missing great sample based music with drum breaks, 90s style hip hop music, but with a modern twist, Avalanches is amazing.
Cool. Do you have anything else, or can I talk about some?
I just wanted to say that I started meditating using Waking Up app this year, and I found it to be like a much better way to meditate than the other 3 apps I've tried in that direction. I find it's great. They added a new function that gives you like a moment of the day where it's like a 45-second thing that you tap in the middle of the day to like reset as well. And I turned that on, and that's been really useful even for days that I don't get to the full meditation. So
cool. I want to come back to meditation, when we talk about what we did, because I have a point I want to make there. But the other thing I'd say is, I picked my favorite podcast of all time is super nerdy, but Conversations with Tyler. It's the only podcast. There's only one episode that was a weird one, where he records a dinner conversation, a literal dinner conversation. That's the only one I didn't finish out of like 100 some episodes. I've listened to every single one front to back. I think he's the best interviewer that I've ever heard, because I've never heard of anyone who gets deeper into his subject's work. Like, he shocks everyone with the amount that he knows about them by reading all of their work and like all of the things he can find out about them. And he is kind of like this staccato, weird, he doesn't care about segues. He just like will ask a super deep question, and when they're in it, then as soon as he's heard enough, he'll be like, what do you think of this? And like throw something new in there. And they're just like, I feel like everyone's on their toes, but it's not in an adversarial or like to throw them off way. It's just like, I'm going to get the most out of my limited time with you so I can understand the way your mind works. And I
Cool.
love that podcast. It's so good. I mentioned Afropop Worldwide already, which is just a great way to like dig into something that probably most of us have no clue about. And you'll be like listening from pleasure, but also learning. And then Deep Cover, Rachel recommended this. The Drug Wars is the season. And it's another true story about an undercover FBI agent. And like it tells the story of him bringing, I don't want to get too far into it, except to say like this guy in Detroit ends up bringing down a drug empire and a whole country with his work. Like the government of a country, it's true story, involves Reagan years, involves Panama, involves everything. It's so crazy. It's really good. It's kind of obsessive listening. I burned through it.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you? Anything else?
No, I'm good. Good.
Okay. All right. Let's go with something simple. What are the best couple things you've eaten this year?
Well, I didn't eat out much. So these are more
Okay.
like things that I found at the grocery
Yeah.
store.
Yeah, that's okay.
One of them actually was a really special night. It was Greta's birthday weekend, and we actually ordered from a Lincoln Square restaurant, Elizabeth,
Oh yeah.
which is like a Michelin star Lincoln Square restaurant. And every weekend they have to go, like full on 2-person, like fancy meals. And that's the only one we've had this year.
Yeah.
And it was really, really special. It was just delicious. And I don't know if it was that delicious because we haven't had anything like it, but it
Yeah.
was really good.
It's very widely regarded. It's very highly regarded, right? It's like people.
Yeah, it was so good. We just like loved that. So that was one of the things. Another thing was like I haven't eaten crackers in like 3 years, because I just don't eat grains,
Yeah.
and except when my mom makes Nani's crackers, right?
Yeah.
Um, but this year a couple of brands came out with crackers that are grain free and good. So Simple Mills is one of them. And the Simple Mills rosemary crackers make me really happy when I bust
Yeah.
those open. And it's opened me back up to soft cheeses, which I've been excited about because I don't have anything to put a soft cheese on. So I've only been eating hard cheeses because I don't use the cracker. So that was kind of one of them.
Cool. Yeah. For me, it was your grain-free pizzas. You really perfected it, and I feel like
Nice.
um, I got to have those probably 4 or 5 times this past year, and it's been awesome.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, I would say that's at the top of my list. And then um, when we've been done backyard parties, and we've done it at your house too, when you're trying to see people, keep it distant, Rojo Gusano, we order from the one on Lawrence in Albany Park, which is closer to our house, or at least easier for me to get to. Um,
There's one over on Montrose too, east. Yeah.
no, on Ravenswood.
Right, Ravenswood. Sorry. But
Ravenswood.
it's right over
Yeah,
there.
yeah. But I think they're the same owner, or I don't even know, but I mean, obviously they're related. But I like the tacos better from the one on Lawrence. I will say that. No offense to them, but
It tastes the same. I just ordered from the other one. But
anyway,
anyway, they're delicious. The mushroom tacos, the shrimp tacos are
the
amazing.
shrimp tacos are ridiculous.
The
Uh,
Korean beef is amazing.
yeah, and their al pastor is really, really one of my favorites. Um, so yeah, I am. That's my sort of that's about like that's the main eating out that we've done this year. It's been Rogue's on.
It's awesome. Related to my pizza making, a pesto came out this year. I used to use, if you look at all the pestos at the store, most of them are cashews, and they use cashews as a filler because pine nuts are expensive. And most of them use a little bit of olive oil for flavoring, but they use safflower or sunflower oil
Yeah.
as the base because it's cheaper. Um, and they don't use like they use a little bit of pesto and then they fill it with parsley or whatever it is. And it's all these substitute ingredients, and that's not really pesto. Pesto really is just a few ingredients. It's olive oil, pine nuts, basil, and garlic and maybe a little lemon. And that's it. And and This
Parmesan.
no, so the one that I love doesn't even have Parmesan, and the one that you use at your house actually doesn't either.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and it's Gotham Greens vegan pesto. If you can find it, it's made from like they have a greenhouse in Chicago. They make their basil there, and they make this incredible like 4 ingredient pesto, vegan pesto that is the best pesto I've ever
yeah.
had.
We've been using it. I really like it as well. Although I will say nothing beats Rachel's pesto. She's a killer.
Yeah, I mean outside of homemade, but this tastes like homemade pesto, right?
Yeah, it does. It's the
Yeah,
closest I've had.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the other thing that I've eaten that I think is amazing that I think everyone should try and check out and look into is an Alaskan slash Illinois company called Sitka Salmon Shares, which is how we get our fish. Me and T share a family share, and it is just it will change how delicious you think fish can be and how fresh it can taste. It is the freshest possible. It's flash frozen on the boat when they line catch it with tiny fisher boats, like
Yeah, yeah.
fishing boats.
Also,
And
like most charming company marketing information because you see the stories of these like individual families and learn how they became, you know, fisher folk, and it's just great.
they put out a movie this year called Last Fisherman Standing, and it's so awesome. Just like what that does for the earth, for sustainability against mass fishing, mass market fishing industry is really really special. So if you have the cash and if you're buying your wild caught fish from Whole Foods, you have the cash. You just got to pay it up front. It's worth it, and you actually pay about the same or a little less. But it's so good, so good.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree. 100% recommendation. Dan McHugh is saying Sabatino Chef opened a new place called Avio. So that's cool. Dan, I know between you and Lynette, you guys know your food. So that's something to check out. And obviously, any place that's starting a new place in Chicago in 2020, uh, show some love, tough year to start something new. So, yeah.
You want to reintro real quick?
Yeah, sorry. Uh, the 40-minute reintro is a good time to do your first reintro. Hey, I'm TQ. It's JQ. We're talking to you live from Q Brothers. Actually, we're the Q Brothers. We're talking to you live from Merz Apothecary and Small Flower here in Chicago. And we are talking about things that made us happy, best of 2020, as we prepare to say goodbye to this slightly odd year.
Yeah.
So kick it in the ass on the way out.
See ya.
Yeah. So anyway, what else, Jay?
Let's just burn through some. What are some awesome things you watch? We don't have to discuss each one. Just drop
No. We went back and watched all of the Fargo TV show seasons. I would say season 3 is a little crazy, but they're all good. But the last season was great. They're all great. Atypical.
Atypical's on my list too. Great
Just
show.
like feel good, series dramedy. Love it. Last night, I think you're going to maybe watch it soon. We watched a movie, Hunt for the Wilder People, which is like maybe 4 or 5 years old. It's a New Zealand movie. We visited New Zealand when you were performing there. It made me hunger for travel. The lushness of New Zealand brought me back. And it's actually just a hilarious, heartwarming story that, like, I would say teenagers and up, you could love it. You'd love it. It's great.
I would say, I know it's a lot of people watched it this year, but it doesn't mean it's not awesome. Is The Mandalorian, featuring our friend Pedro Balmaceda in a in a Mandalorian suit, now known as Pedro Pascal. He used to, I think for a while, lived on in our New York apartment on the couch with his pit bull. So he's an awesome guy, and I love supporting him. And Baby Yoda's a big hit in my house, and it's cool because you can just jump into any episode, even if you don't know the overarching story. It's a space western is the genre, and so it's like each one is just sort of like ruthless bounty hunter with a conscience, taking care of this tiny green adorable unknown species, and it's awesome.
That's awesome. I love it. um, Yeah, for me, I was gonna say Palm Springs.
Oh
I
yeah.
love Rachel and I love dark comedies.
Well,
Uh,
that reminds me of Love and Monsters too. Both of those are on the list, and they're both really funny and dark.
yeah, I'd say Love and Monsters is more family dark, and Palm Springs is more like I didn't really want to show my kids dark,
Yeah,
my
but
teenage kids. It was a little too dark for them. I felt like,
it was awesome.
yeah, it's an excellent movie. Um, Gully Boy, so feel good fun. Did you ever watch it yet?
No.
Dude, that's the one. It's a, I think it's produced by Nas, and it's a, an Indian rap musical done by the, I think the, I hope I'm not messing this up. I believe it's made by the woman who did Bend It Like Beckham. So it's a movie where they break into song. It's like a serious movie, but it's also a singing, a break into
Awesome.
song movie. It's
Awesome.
so good,
I'm
and
in.
it's about an Indian rapper basically,
What is it
and it's
called?
about freestyling. Jay,
What's it
it's
called?
about this kid who has to get up the nerve to freestyle.
What is it called?
Gully Boy,
Gully Boy. And it's on what?
which is like the gully. It's like a project kid.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I saw it on Netflix
Anyway,
or
I'll find it.
one of the streaming. Just
Yeah, yeah,
Gully,
yeah.
Gully Boy. It's so good. You must watch it.
I would say Giri Haji was like very high on our
Oh,
list this
how did
year,
I miss that one?
and it's just an awesome, detective crime story, but with the Yakuza and UK connection. And there's like, it's so theatrical and busts into like, choreography at points that is just really, I found like laughing and then I found myself crying very quickly.
Yeah,
It was very moving. So that was awesome.
and it has Kelly McDonald in it, so that's always takes things up a step.
Oh, Kenzo, which
Oh,
which has which we now say that all the time in our family. Oh, Kenzo. Um, the other one I would say, if people are into animation and that want to watch something with their kids that's not like all kiddie, but it is like for kids, but you love it.
yeah.
Like I'm a fan of like Tom and Jerry stuff, and I'm a fan of like Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, where there's before Tom and Jerry talked, like when it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah,
scored to classical music.
yeah.
Well, Grizzly and the Lemmings on Netflix is 7-minute episodes of like French Canadian animators that have done this like this grizzly bear that is pretending to be the like the Mountie while the Mountie's away on vacation, and these lemmings, and they're like frenemies, and they keep like hanging out in this cabin and fighting over technology that keeps going awry, and it's awesome. And everything is sort of scored to the music, and it's really smart and really funny, and I find myself like laughing really hard at it. Everyone in my family, from my 2-year-old who has very little speech right now to me, like just doubled over laughing, all of us, at how
That's awesome.
clever the animation and the movement and the writing is, right?
Yeah,
It's great.
yeah. My last one is My Octopus Teacher, which a lot of people watch on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
I'm in awe of octopuses, octopodes, um, but and that also makes my list for best things I did not eat. A couple of years ago, last year I read a book on octopus. I decided a couple of years ago that I don't want to eat them. I feel like it's probably my long, slow march into not eating a lot of animals, but that one seemed particularly egregious. Based on sort of what they are.
Yeah. Cool.
So anyway,
What else? Should we put some MERS ones in here?
yeah. All right. I have I just picked like, these are not like, oh, I need to tell you about this awesome product. These are just things that I felt like when I thought, what were the things that stand out to me from MERS that I used, from the Apothecary that were most important? Number one, I use the Nasal Pure Little Squirt. It's a neti pot. It's tiny. I use it twice a day. My feeling is I don't have any secret knowledge of whether that's going to stop coronavirus. I have no idea. But it certainly seems like since you breathe it in and it takes root in your sinuses, I might as well clean them every day with a salt solution. So I do it morning and night. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
It's
That's
great.
definitely.
I made the switch from Uncle Harry's peppermint, which is super icy, to this year I've started using the spearmint, which is slightly less burn your mouth out icy. And I have to say, I love it. Spearmint is just great all around. And it's particularly good in this, I don't know, in this toothpaste. I
It's a
love that.
slightly sweeter mint, and
Yeah.
that's nice.
Yeah.
I have the 24 karat gold serum from
From
No
No Cosmetics.
Makeup, No Cosmetics is, I mean, it's completely changed. That's all I use. That's my only serum. I use rose water and that's my regimen. And
Your
my
face is way
skin,
more valuable too now that you've been using that. Yeah.
I mean, I have wrinkles and stuff and I'm aging, but like I feel like I'm not breaking out. I'm not like I feel like it's really like kind of just I don't have to think about it. It smooths everything over and it looks great and I just feel good about my face care has never felt easier or better.
Good. I will pass that along to them. That's awesome. And for me, the final one is, well, final two, Shambar. The
Oh, thanks.
VA.
Woo.
Shambar Soothe. I don't ever have to think about shampoo and conditioner anymore. I just feel great all the time. And it's in a bar and I'm not using plastic bottles. I love that. So I would say also the Hydrate is, I've been using that one lately and I really like that as well. But Soothe is my hair product.
Soothe is great for as the weather rapidly changes. But once your skin is sort of accustomed, nothing makes your hair as soft as Hydrate.
Yeah, yeah. And then
I
for
would
me,
throw the new
yeah.
Swedish bitters in there.
Oh yeah,
It's every day. I just take a swig. I leave the bottle stays out on my counter, and I probably twice a day take a swig after breakfast and after dinner, and I just feel awesome. I feel regular. I feel happy. Feels good.
cool. For me, Bird Surf Spray. It's like it just smells good, and I don't know. There's something about not traveling in 2020 that like the smell of beachiness in my hair became like,
Feels like a treat. Yeah.
yeah, it was just like this like sort of a proxy travel for me every morning that I got to spray it on and feel like I'm someplace exotic. And I still do it. In this dry weather, it sort of gives my hair like the curl of humidity,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
it gives it a little glue, right? Um, I had a back injury this year that was really painful and long time recovering. I'm still sort of recovering. I'm finally feel like I'm on hopefully the last legs of it. And so Kitasalba was a big,
hmm,
it's fine. And I use the icy hot stuff when I need it and when I need to numb it and not feel it. Sometimes you just need that. So BioFreeze that has like homeopathics plus the icy hot was kind of a
yeah,
go-to for me this year. But Kitasalba, when I'm in the first half of the day when I'm not home and I'm going to go be among people potentially or see someone and I don't want to smell like Ben Gay. Kitasalba smells incredible and and works amazing. So
yeah. Comfrey is the primary ingredient, and which is great for nerve pain, bone kind of inflammation issues. Great.
yep.
Um, yeah, cool. Those are my products that I use from the store. And while we wrap up, I'll say I'm just going to pick one thing that I bought. It's my mask from Defy. So this is the mask that I wear. And here's the deal. I get really bad headaches in general. I'm a person who gets headaches easily from like jewelry. I don't wear much jewelry. This thing is super light. It's almost like plastic. It's my sleep ring, but like in general, I don't wear anything. And the idea of spending a whole year with elastic straps pulling at my ears, it's enough to like give me a migraine just to think about it. And I was getting them at the beginning when I was wearing masks. And so I want to just demonstrate. The cool thing about this is made by a friend of mine, Chris Tagg, his team. He owns Defy, started Defy. They're a company on Ravenswood. They have their work, their artisans are here in Chicago. They make bags as their primary thing, and they're awesome bags. And we sell some of their products here in the store. But this mask, the thing I love about it is I can wear it around my neck while I'm walking around the street, while I'm walking around the store, in my office. And then when I see people and I'm drinking my coffee and like just to like not freak people out when I'm walking in a crowded area on the outside, even I just with one hand I can pull this up and get it on my face. And I love that. So like I don't have to set stuff down or stop walking, pull it out of my bag, put it around my ears, then take it off and have some place to do it. I just keep pushing it up and it's always there for like in an emergency, walking around the street, I can just go like this while I'm walking by. It's denim, it's super cool. This like salvage denim, it's just awesome. And it has like this little flap at the top and a flap at the bottom. So it's a little stiffer and stays away from my face.
Nice.
That's my best purchase of 2020.
Nice.
Honestly.
Cool.
So I highly recommend it. I know Dad got one. A bunch of people here at the store use them. It's the most comfortable mask I've used.
Cool. I would have to say my negative tilt ergonomic stand for my keyboard and mouse is definitely my jam.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just, now that I'm in a standing desk situation, I immediately got my hands were like this and I got tons of elbow pain within like a day or two. I got this and it just disappeared. So that was number one.
I'm a negative keyboard guy for like many years now, although mine's not as extreme. But if I am standing, I think you need something like that. That is the best way to type. And to
I also think just like if we can throw a couple games in there, because this was a year to play games. Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Yeah, we just picked that up. It's so good.
That game's so good. I can't stop thinking about it. It's such a good game.
Come over to my house tonight and play it. Or I'll come over to yours.
Maybe. Yeah, you can come over to my house. I got 2 little girls still.
Yeah.
Although JJ's sleeping at Unky G's tonight.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I will say Wingspan. Wingspan is a game from last year, but it's still the best game of this year. That's how good it is.
Well, I want to throw in Azul. I think I really like it.
It was fun. Yeah.
It's such a visual game, and it doesn't really need all the things that a lot of games need around like, words and math and score. It's like the score just kind of happens by virtue of the game itself, and it's beautiful. It's a game of tiling.
Yeah, it's cool. And I will just throw, like, if you're going to go hang out with friends and like socially distant and be outside or on a porch with heaters or whatever, these pocket games I've been getting are really important. So you can play something, but it doesn't require tons of pieces and you don't have to be like hovering over a board all close to each other. Tussie Mussy by the designer of Wingspan is such a lovely, simple little 15-minute game that's fun to play. And it's just something to do when you also just like, it's not long enough time to like watch a show with your partner, but you want to do something before bed. You want to just go right up. It feels like you're defeated if you do that. Then like a 15-minute little game while you have your cup of tea is a great idea, right?
2-person games were a major changer of our relationship. Kind of when our kids were it was like a little older, maybe a little older than you are now, but it's just like, man, we need something different than this,
Yeah. So this year, especially because a lot of people, the only person you can hang out with is your partner, then so I did a lot of research into 2-person games this year, and we got a lot of them for a lot of friends for Christmas this year. So
since we're talking games, I'm going to still throw out there my one that's at top of my list for many years, which is Splendor. It can be more than a 2-person game, but Rachel and I still, it's just like, it's like 30 minutes, 40 minutes of adrenaline and laughing and, just being happy. It's great. I love that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Let's wish everyone a happy
one thing. I want to talk about meditation for a second, because I'd say if I had to pick off, there's a bunch of fun things I did despite the fact that it's distancing, but the most important thing I did probably was meditate with the specific idea. I'm not a master meditator. I think, for anyone who's like, I can't meditate, like, no, that sucking at meditating is what meditating is. and this is what I would say. I'm better at sucking at meditating now than I used to be. That's how I'd put it, and here's the twist. This is the realization. and I think this is where like the same thing becomes useful, is that one of the best things about this year for me is I am clearer than I have ever been that I don't think thoughts, thoughts think me. And I think that that sounds like a funny or like, oh, that's like a trite thing. But the reality is, most of us, including myself, almost 99.9% of the time, walk around feeling like I'm deciding to think about this, I'm making choices, I'm doing things, I'm worrying about things. And I think that that is complete BS. There is no I. Thoughts are thinking me, worries are overtaking me, whatever it is I call me, which is just the consciousness. And I go around thinking I'm in control and that I'm doing it. And that identification with those things is like the big mistake that I make all the time, because then I feel like, well, that's important. And the reality is,
And it feels permanent. So like
yeah,
the other trick is that like when you sit around with the vocabulary I am, or I am tired, or I am stressed, you are saying you are that. And then you become that permanently, and it's very difficult to break that apart until you stop using that vocabulary. I'm feeling stress is a much better way to say it, and even that is kind of false too.
yeah.
But at least that's a better passive way to look at it, that you're experiencing stress, right? And so, part of it is just like whatever you think you are, I'm bad at this, or I'm tired, or I'm stressed about this. You're not. You are experiencing stress. You are
Yeah.
experiencing fatigue.
Well,
You aren't any of those things. You're
no,
a blank canvas.
you are just the realm in which these things are experienced.
Yeah, yeah.
But here's the final point I want to make, and it ties back to the no drinking thing. At least for me, I would say, I think this happens to a lot of people, but I think guys that I know are better at it than most of the women, worse at it, I should say, than most of the women that I know as a whole, which doesn't really matter. But my point is just that, like, I think men tend to suffer from mental health issues that come from like the shoving away and shoving down
Repression.
of
Yeah.
experiencing those emotions. And I think that for me, alcohol was one of the things that allowed me to be like, I just want to feel chill. And it did, but it was essentially like shoving all this crap down, and it would resurface in ways that was like backlash, you know? And so what I would say is not drinking and meditating has allowed me to sort of like do the uncomfortable work of just facing the fact that like I'm really anxious about this particular thing, and just let myself experience it in a way that feels awful, but for about 45 seconds or a minute and a half. And then I'm like, okay, I don't have to carry that around below the surface, nagging at me all the time, making me yell at my kids because they left markers out on the table or whatever the hell it is that they did. That really doesn't matter at all, right? So anyway, that's been my lesson of 2020, which I intend to deepen for 2021, hopefully. But I would encourage anyone who doesn't want to feel controlled by stuff like that to just dive in and start meditating.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll just leave people with that. When I think about like, my 6-year-old son who's now doing like remote learning, and it was so hard and challenging, and now he's like a whiz at it. I
Yeah.
just think like people are malleable and people are awesome, and we are adaptable creatures, and
Elastic.
and we are, yeah, deeply elastic. And when I think about Amina and what she's gone through with therapy going online and all the work that she puts in and still wants to put
Yeah.
in becoming independent and moving and walking and talking, and the other one who he took out of school and is homeschooled now and is reading and writing and doing math at a first grade level, 2 years beyond what she is supposed to be at. And I think about how awesome they're doing. And I just, I just think like, man, short, they talk about it in football with quarterbacks. Having a short memory is an advantage. And I try to have a short memory. And that's like my thing this year is like, I try not to like hold on to anything, and I try to just love it while it's in front of me and enjoy it and let it go. And that's been my jam this year. And I'm trying to do it even better, or not try to do it at all, this year. So happy 2020, everyone. We love you. We're grateful that you come around and hang out with us and that we get to share this. Mostly, I'm grateful that I just get to spend time with my brother and have a cup of tea. And if anyone joins us, even better. But
thank you all. And thank you, Jay.
Hey, thank you, buddy.
Good year.
All right. I'll see you later for Quacks at Quedlinburg.
Yeah. All right. Much love. Thanks, everybody. Peace. See you next year.
Bye-bye.